Hey, what's happening, everybody? Another, cut and paste Sunday for the Detroit Lions.
Oh.
This one a little bit different, though. They take on their old buddy, Matthew Stafford, who torched him. He didn't have a lot of chances to torch him. We will get into that, but he does win 28-19. Your Detroit Lions now 0-7, and I am happy to be joined by a new dude today. You may recognize the name if you watch our wrestling show, Mr. Nick Hortz. Well, this is his boy, Brent Hortz, is here. Not only is he a massive Lions fan, massive NFL fan, massive knows the NFL up and down, back and forth, he is also maybe the president of the Get Matthew Stafford out of Detroit bandwagon. So it's only right that the card-carrying poster child for GetRidOfStafford.com joins us today. Brent, despite that,
yes,
we couldn't be happier to have you, dude. Thanks
Appreciate
for being here, man. Yeah,
Thank you.
dude, thanks for being here, man. Your thoughts before Stafford. Let's get into the game.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's talk the game first before Stafford, and I don't know if that's right or not. Just your general overall thoughts on the game before getting into anything specific.
You know, turning this game on today, and I saw you tweet about it too. I had the same feeling. I thought they were going to get just shellacked, just blown out. You know, right off the rip. I thought this game was going to be, 40-something-3, kind of like the Cincinnati game was just last week. So I just – to see them still have that fight, some of their games this year, like Cincinnati, like I just said, have been really tough to watch, but there's a lot of them have been competitive. And this is one of those games where it was like kind of almost like a rivalry game, because you had Goff and Stafford on each side, and coming back home for Goff to come over to LA and Stafford to go against his former team. There was, tons of emotions.
Coaching staffs.
Yep, for sure. And it was a lot closer than I thought. Granted, Detroit had to pull out the trick plays, but it was fun. Like, as a Lions fan, there's not much to be happy about in watching this. Like, it gave you a sense of hope. Like, they might pull this off, but then you knew eventually they were going to do their same old Lions stuff, and it was gonna end up unfolding the way it did. But I was happy that they were at least respectable in that sense, because I think a lot of eyes were on this game tonight because it was a 4 o'clock late start. Not many games are on at the 4 o'clock time, so most demographics across the country, one of 3 games, and this was probably one of the ones that got plugged into a lot of different markets. And Detroit kind of showed out a little bit, which was nice.
Yeah, and we will get into that too, because I know a lot of people are upset about all the love Stafford is getting now all of a sudden. So we'll get into that. Maybe you're not the right person to get into that with, because you never loved him to begin with. But
it's really funny to me when you mentioned that, because I said something to my wife about it tonight, because they're talking, Sanchez is talking like the arm angles and all this stuff, and it's like, nobody else can do that stuff. Nobody else can make those throws. It's like he's been doing that for the Lions for a decade, and nobody was ever saying like how amazing he was. But now he goes to LA and he's in the shiny city, so he gets all this praise. And
being a Stafford, I don't want to say hater, but definitely not lover.
No.
What did you think going into this game? Because there's so many people that have been torn. People came around on him the last couple of years. Maybe 3 years ago, there was a lot more of yous than there were me's. And I've always been a Stafford guy. For those who have never seen this, I've been a Stafford. Is he Tom Brady? No. Is he Rodney Pete? No. So I have always been a Stafford guy. You have not. We have argued about this up and down, left and right. Last 2 years, more people started coming around on this guy. Your thoughts going into this game, because I have seen so much since he's been traded. I hope the Lions win, but I want Stafford to throw for 304 touchdowns. So,
Right.
your thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, I'm still of the mindset that as a Lions fan, I want Stafford, or basically I want the Rams to do as bad as possible, because that just helps the draft
We
picks.
got two picks. Yeah.
And it's still coming up. These next 2 years, that's a lot of draft capital that we have to work with. So,
Yep.
I'm Stafford. I think a lot of people came around the past 2 years, like you said, because of the fact that Calvin was gone, and you started to see him do a little bit more with less of the weapons that he always had around him. And it kind of like you started to have a little bit more appreciation, because that was always one of his knocks. He didn't win the big games, against good competition. And to an extent, he didn't lift up those kind of mediocre receivers or average receivers to be good or great. And that's still one thing I do feel about him. Is one thing he's always been lacking is,
I'll give you that.
You have those random guys that get plugged into the roster, and then all of a sudden people are picking them up on their fantasy teams, and they're becoming household names because a quarterback's making them look like a starter when they probably aren't.
I don't know how old Geronimo Allison is, but he got activated this week for the Lions. He got activated this week for the Lions. Now, he might be 48 years old. I'm not sure. But when he was on the Green Bay Packers, he was a guy.
Yeah.
And that's what you're talking about. Aaron Rodgers.
Like
but also, no
Lazard.
one's calling Matt Stafford a generational talent, where Aaron Rodgers obviously is.
Yeah. But that's was part of my hate, always not really hate, but dislike for Stafford for so long, because
I got you.
He wasn't the generational guy like a Rodgers, but he always commanded that dollar value. And that also goes to the position, because quarterback is a premium and you pay the market. But it was always, in my eyes, Detroit is one of those teams that if and when they ever do win a playoff game or get to the playoffs, it's going to need to be on a rookie deal with a quarterback where they're not paying that person a lot of money, and they're able to shell that money out to a bunch of other positions, not so much a very high-paid quarterback that doesn't lift everybody else up around him to make that salary kind of worth it.
Now, I always told you, because I've been to practices, I've been to games, I've been to everything. I've talked to other reporters. I have told everybody this, that once they started doing the practices, joint practices with other teams, the other team's media would just see him throw one-on-one, not even 7-on-7, just individuals. And they're going, ho. Now, arm talent isn't everything. You can throw the ball 100 miles an hour and you don't know where it's going. Oh, like Goff throwing to the sideline. Has he completed one pass to the sideline all year? I don't think so.
If it was over 5 yards downfield, no.
Yeah, it was over 5 yards on the sideline.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, into the fifth row. Anyway, but scouts the same. And when we got Bob Quinn and other people, they were like, dude, what do you mean am I trading Stafford? This guy's incredible. Everybody saw the arm talent. Now, that doesn't always mean everything. But, that's what I always said. And I also said he's gone through coordinator after coordinator after coordinator
regime
after coordinator.
Regime change.
Yeah, so like at what point are we – now he's actually with a competent guy and looks – but no, he hasn't won in the playoffs yet. Let's see him win in the playoffs.
I'm not sold on McVay. I'm not a McVay fan. I think McVay is very overrated. So
really,
that's me. Yes, I do. I think he's a good coach, but I think he used Goff as a big scapegoat for a lot of his own failures.
But are you not seeing this now? Like, this is what how do you watch? This guy cannot throw to the sideline.
No, I get it, but also look at the weapons. Like, you put Stafford back on this Detroit team.
I agree with you.
It's literally me's and you's out there running routes. Like,
Khalif Raymond is on his 9th team in 4 years or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. And he's our top receiver. I totally agree with you. But guess what? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar couldn't throw or catch the passes that he's throwing into the first row. This guy cannot throw to the sideline. He cannot.
Yes, I get, and I agree. But it also, like, It's the people they have around them, the play calling. There's a lot of bad things that are still happening on this Detroit team. Because if you
That's
do go
Stafford's
back,
fault.
no, I'm saying that's like why Goff may look as bad. Because if you go back and look at the year that the Rams did go to the Super Bowl, one of my favorite games like that really kind of sold me on Goff was that it was like a Monday night or Sunday night against Kansas City.
Like
It was like
55 to, yeah.
yeah, it was something
Yeah.
crazy, and they ended up winning by like a late touchdown or a late field goal.
Yep.
Crazy game, and like he was putting up really good numbers. And you can look at his stats. He had a couple of years where he's throwing 30+ touchdowns.
He's a two-time Pro Bowler. He's a two-time
when
Pro
he has
Bowler.
decent guys around him, he has shown that he can go and he can win. I just wonder, like, let's take hypothetically the year that the Lions had that really good defense. If Goff would have been on that team
They
with
weren't
those
really
guys,
good. They weren't really good.
Statistically they were. Like
Yes, statistically they were, but they weren't.
But that's all you can really go on, because you could say, like, hypothetically they would have got blown out by this. But
I got you.
But with Goff, like, he's shown that he can, with a decent team, with a good team around him, a good defense, decent running game, all that stuff, he can win and he can go to a Super Bowl. It's not saying that he's going to do that in Detroit, because ever since they traded for him, he's a stopgap to me. He's never going to be the guy here. He was just,
I agree.
Okay, we have a guy to march out there to play on Sundays, and we're going to either, this year, obviously, it doesn't look like anything great's coming out in the draft. So maybe you go defense and skill positions.
We draft the kid from Oregon. We draft the kid from Oregon.
Yes, if you're that number one pick, you take that kid from Oregon. You go defense and skill position, maybe sprinkle in a couple receivers here or there, free agency, solidify the stuff around you. Then the following year, you still have 2 first-round picks. Even if you're not a top 2 pick, you pile your 2 first-rounders together, see if you can move up and snag a quarterback, and you have everything else. But the offensive line is now starting to kind of come together a little bit. I liked seeing Sewell today when he got into Donald's face.
Love it.
That stuff, like, Dan Campbell's a weird, quirky guy, but that's the kind of fight that I think he's looking for from this team, is to be that blue collar. Like, you're not going to push us around. We may be 0-7, but we're going to get right back in your face too. We're going to, shove you back, and we're not going to get ran all over and pushed around out here. And
I agree.
That's kind of the fight I like to see.
I agree. Well, we will get back to Stafford, because there is more to peel off the onion there.
Yeah.
But since you mentioned that, okay, this guy has done this every game. From the first drive of the season, he goes for it on 4th and whatever it was, 3 from their own territory. And I'm sitting there scratching my head going, okay, football guy. Because I think he got hired because I'm a football guy. Because remember, they did not have a GM yet when he got hired. Chris Spielman hired this guy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he keeps doing it, and he keeps doing it. And then we saw them not kick field goals a few weeks ago, and it cost them. The next week, they're kicking field goals nonstop. Well, then we get back to today. And I understand the whole thing. Let's keep Stafford off the field because he's going to kill us. So they fake a punt, then they fake another punt, and they're doing what they have to do. It all worked until once again, he decides on 4th and 1 to not kick a field goal from like his own 20.
Yeah.
And guess what? Had they taken the 3, when they got the ball back at the end of the game with 58 seconds left, I know that's not a lot of time, that could have been a game-winning drive. Instead, you're down 9.
And you got nothing.
You screwed your team.
There's not a 9-point play.
You screwed your team. You screwed your team again.
Yeah,
you screwed them. You got stuffed on 3rd and 1. And they did this the last time. They rushed up to the line, and he had a hot read to the corner, which this guy cannot throw to the sideline. And he had him throw a sideline route, and it overthrew it. Shocking. This guy can't throw to the sideline. This time, they rushed to the line. They got stuffed on 3rd and 1. You think you don't have Frank Ragnow. He's dead.
Yeah.
You don't have Taylor Decker. He's dead.
Yep.
Apparently, Jason Pierre-Paul can have fireworks blow off in his hand and come back a week later. Taylor Decker shut down for the year. I don't know what that's about. But anyway, You try to run on 4th and 1, half your line's not there. What are you doing? Kick the field goal. You took away your team's chance to win the game at the end of the game again.
Yep.
Because you
Yep.
get too emotional, and everybody likes the fact that he's crying in press conferences. No, you are too emotional. Somebody needs to grab you and go, hey, football guy, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But this is the smart thing to do. He needs some kind of czar of common sense to grab him and go, football guy, quit being football guy.
Right.
And start thinking.
He hired that clock management person, to monitor the clock. So hire an analytics person and just have that person telling you on the 4th down.
Or someone with a brain.
Yeah, don't tell me this is what we felt like we should do with our heart. I was excited when they were going for that on 4th down, just because it was 4th down. I thought they were going to rush to the line. My thought process was just get up there, fake count the whole time. Even if you take, because you're close enough to, you could still take a delay a game and move back 5 yards, and it's still a chip shot.
And you still kick the field goal.
But get up there, see if you can bark them off sides and get a free 1st down. And
they did that earlier in the game. Yeah, they actually did do that. Yeah.
And those guys, like the Rams, were so antsy on that. They were up there. You could see them like leaning forward, really wanting to get after Goff on that 4th down play. I really think they could have hard counted somebody across that line. We'll never know, but it was worth a shot. Obviously, the play they ran didn't do anything. It got stuffed for no gain, if not a loss. Yeah, it was because it wasn't even a 4th and really a 1. When I was looking at it, it was about 1.5 yards. Like, that's a tough defense already when they know your quarterback isn't going to be ripping the ball out here. You're going to be probably running it again. So they were all just selling out of that run for sure.
Well, to me, the whole thing just negates what you were trying to do earlier. And that's what I thought in the last game when they did it. So you fake punt twice. You onside kick because you don't want their offense to get the ball because you can't stop them, right? You can't stop them. So that means you need as many points as you can get, right?
Yeah.
So you just took points off your own board. That's why you fake punted. That's why you onside kick. And if you don't get, you're just giving the ball right back to these guys.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He just gave it right back to them. So it's like two ideas that don't – it's just stupid. It's stupid. And it was too early in the game to do that.
And so many of these things are very gimmicky. The fake punts worked. I'm never a fan of fake punts. If you're gonna go sure, you can catch a team off guard if you can realize something, you can catch them and you can catch them slipping and you can get that 1st down. I'm more for just bringing your offense back out there and going for it. If you're gonna fake punt it, just bring your offense out. Those guys are designed to really try to get that yardage.
Right.
Maybe not for Detroit because obviously that hasn't worked out great for them anyways. But there's been so many times where it's almost like he needs to go exactly against what his gut is feeling.
I will, but you know what? And I will give Dan Campbell this, he knew what he needed to do to win. They needed to keep Stafford off the field. They needed to keep that offense off the field. We got to pull out all the stops. So I give him credit for that. But I mean, that's gimmicky and that's not real, know.
And it was very empty because you do all these things, and if they would have came away with more scoring drives from those huge momentum shifts, like that onside kick, you don't come away with much from that. You did basically a 3 and out, and then you did the fake punt, and then you got down there, but then you're coming away with a field goal here. If you're going to beat the Rams, those do need to turn into touchdowns. You need to, because that offense, you're not stopping that offense. They do need to put more points on the board and actually convert, because they had 3 shots inside the red zone. 2 of them were field goals and 1 of them was a pick. They were 0 for 3 for touchdowns inside the red zone.
Right.
That's rough when you're playing a high potent offense like the Rams. So it's tough.
I've never been one of these. They'll never be good until the Fords sell the team.
Yeah.
After this offseason, and I hope I'm wrong, after this offseason, you hire a coach without a GM, and then you're piecing things together. And I have leaned. I'm not all the way there because Sheila. We'll see what Sheila's doing. I do like some of the things she says and does.
Yeah.
I don't know if she knows what's going on, but I like some of the things she
But
says and
who
does.
does that? Who brings in, like, you bring in a GM? That GM's
I know
supposed to pick their guy
their
to
guy
move forward with as like
in
a
any
cohesive unit.
business, in
Yes.
television business. Everybody knows when you get a new GM, everybody else is gone.
Gone. Yeah.
Like that's what
It's
happens.
it's the same as like with politics with a president. You don't keep the same cabinet. That
Yes.
new guy or new girl, whoever it is, wants to pick their people to
Yeah.
have around them. Like,
Yep.
it's just it baffles me a little bit, but
Yep.
Lions always do, you know.
Yep. And I like the fight. They do like him. He is a
Yeah.
player's coach
They're
because he's
playing
a
hard
coach.
for
But
0-7. They're playing hard. Like, a lot of teams could have given up by now, being
they've been
0-7, no shot. We look horrible, all this
dude,
stuff. But they're
they've
out there
been beaten at
busting
the
their butt.
buzzer twice by
Hmm.
a 61-yard field goal and by an NFL record
First time
66-yard.
ever in NFL history that two like 50 plus game winners have
50
happened to the
plus, and
same
these
team.
are
Yeah,
60
60
plus.
plus. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah. So I give them all the
Some
credit in
bad
the world.
beats for sure.
Yeah, I give them all the credit. Today, they executed what they were told to do. I just don't know what they're doing is smart.
Yeah.
And that's on the head coach. I think the assistants are doing great jobs, but these are
Oh
former
yes.
head
Yep.
coaches. I think the position coaches are doing great jobs. They
Hmm.
are dealing. So it's hard because anybody can come back and go, well, Campbell's not. I look at the decision making. And
Yeah.
again, not kicking that field goal prevented your team from having a chance to win the game with 58 seconds left. That is on you. That is your fault. That's my
We
problem. You prevented your team from having a chance to win the game.
we always seem to, as a Detroit organization, have coaches that botch it for the players. We get Caldwell, the
John L. Smith, the coaches are
and forth.
screwing it up.
Yeah, the pass back and forth kind of thing.
Kind of thing.
Patricia, just every game, like, he was just horrible. But then now with Campbell, like, if they can't get out of their own way to allow the players to perhaps have the best shot at winning that they possibly could. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Yeah,
And now he's getting praised
that's about right. That's
being,
about right. It fell
as
out.
being a brilliant mind in New England again. You could put anybody in New England. They're Belichick's running that
Right.
show. Like,
Right. Yeah.
You could see that because everybody that leaves there goes somewhere else and is horrible. And we took on the whole Patriot persona, and it just didn't fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Lions, anything from the game that stands out to you before we get back to Stafford? Because Stafford is the reason why I wanted to have you on.
Yeah.
And obviously, I mean, if you think he sucks, you might be slightly, something ain't right with you. But the game in particular,
Yeah.
what do you think? Is there anything that stands out? What was maybe the tide turning? What's going on here that stood out to you?
I still look at this game, and Swift still just jumps off the page. Like, every time you see him out there, he's a baller, man. He touches that, he's gone. He's so fast. I like their two-headed running backs, Williams and Swift. Hawkinson continues to kind of underwhelm. He's had maybe one really good game and then another halfway decent game this year.
The first 2 weeks.
And then he's been kind of just a guy out
and
there.
They keyed on him. He had 6 catches today, but for minimal gain.
And again, that's part of with Goff just not throwing it down the field. I think he's averaging like less than 3 yards down the field.
Worst in the league. The worst in the league. But again, and part of that, or a lot of it, is he has no receivers. So what's your bailout? You dump it down to the tight end. Everybody knows that.
And that's what the defense is keying on. They know when they come in to play Detroit, you stop the two. You're looking at the 2 running backs and you're looking at the tight end, and that's your defensive game plan.
Somebody named Bobby Price caught a pass today. We
didn't even know they had a Bobby Price on the roster.
We have a lacrosse player receiving for us right now.
It's so I don't know. I think their run defense played pretty well today. I was, Rams aren't known for being a great run team to begin with.
Right.
Henderson's gone off a couple times this year, but that
They
receiving
held them to
core.
47 yards, and they only
Yeah.
ran the ball 19 times, but that's 2.5 yards a clip. They did a great job with that.
So your run defense and your special teams, I think they won both of those on the game. They obviously didn't win the passing game. They didn't win the score. They didn't win the key plays that needed to happen when they needed to happen. So that's how the outcome happened. But there's a couple things to build on at least. I mean, their linebackers are playing halfway decent, which has looked okay. They had the fourth down stop. I forget the linebacker's name, long hair guy. It starts with an A, last name.
Oh, yes. Mr. Anzalone.
Yes.
Double A. The enforcer, double A.
Yeah, they stuffed him, and then I loved the secondary guy coming in and picking up his legs and like dragging the running back backwards so they don't.
Dude, how good was that?
Anymore.
Have you seen that before?
Yeah,
I'm sure it's happened, but seeing it in slow motion, he
right
wheelbarrowed the guy. He picked him up and wheelbarrowed him. That was perfect.
Because how many times do you see that guy get stopped and then like an offensive lineman comes and pushes him forward and they get that yard?
He wheelbarrowed.
Wasn't happening there. Yeah, you're done.
I loved it. That was a great play. Yeah, man.
But other than that, not much promising looking forward offensively. So, I mean, Tyrell Williams, is he supposed to be back anytime soon? I know he's still probably a third stringer on any other really good team. But
and the thing with him, man, the problem is, he could be done for the year because here he is. He gets a concussion in like the first half of game 1. We are now in week 7, and he's not back yet.
Month and a half later.
Yeah, so I don't know that he's coming back. And as much as I keep ripping on Khalif Raymond, the kid's balling his balls out because
that diving catch,
he was just flat. He was flat.
But like Goff, where is that? Like that was a dime. Goff actually
he has it in him. He has it in him, but I almost think I look at other things, dude, like when he just threw the ball at the offensive lineman.
Yeah. That screen that never got set up.
What are you doing? I feel
like he's almost like he's got like David Carr syndrome a little bit. Not Derek Carr, but like I think he's
his brother.
Yeah, I think he's a little kind of shell shocked out there, and it's just I don't know, something's not right between the ears, and he just gets really
rattled.
antsy. Yeah, and he fumbles a lot because he's in there trying to move the ball around too much in his hands. He just doesn't settle and try to, because like if he can play like that and pick apart a pass like the one he had to Raymond, I mean that was right over the defender's ear, Raymond made a beautiful catch on that, but it was a dime, like he threw a great pass.
Yeah,
but he's again, now 0-14 every 4 games you see that from him.
Yeah, he's now 0-14 without Sean McVay. That's the big stat everybody wants to talk about. 0-14 without McVay. He hadn't had a turnover in the game until the pick late in the end zone, which was a killer.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the other end now. So, Matthew Stafford. This guy goes here, speaking of Sean McVay. What do you think it is? Because everybody's all upset now, and I want to tie this all together. Everybody was all upset about Mark Sanchez today. What, Sanchez? Are your lips glued to Stafford's butt? What's going on? How much are you going to slob on Stafford? What are you supposed to say? His team is freaking 6-1. He's leading the league in every stinking category. He threw for 334 and 3 touchdowns today, has a 117 rating. What's he supposed to say?
19 touchdowns now on the season, I think it is?
No, he came in. 19. He came in 16 and 4.
Had 3 more tonight. Yeah.
So he's at 19 and 4. Everything is the best of his career. I mean, he's balling. His team's doing well. Blah, blah, blah. They did get beat by Arizona, who's right now the best team in the league.
Yep.
So, but he looks great. Obviously, he's proved nothing yet, but looks great. So everybody's mad about all of this. Why is everybody all of a sudden mad? You never changed, but there were people, again, going back to earlier, people that did change. And I kept seeing all over online. Sanchez said he's finally found a home and where he's respected or something to that effect, where he feels comfortable and feels respected.
That
And
just goes back to the
everybody got
Detroit
bent
fan
out of
thing.
shape out of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I've loved the guy for 12 years. I didn't get bent out of shape out of that. The Lions always respected this guy. The Lions always kept telling you, this guy is
respected him enough to honor his wishes to trade him too, because he wanted
absolutely.
out. Like, that's respect. Like, no, you're gonna
Yeah,
die.
no,
Your career's
you're
gonna
our
end
guy.
here in Detroit. Like,
Yeah.
we'll franchise you until until your career's over. Like, whatever. They respect him enough to move him along.
But now all of a sudden, everybody's the biggest Stafford fan on earth. So everybody got bent out of shape about that, while other people got bent out of shape because Sanchez was slobbing on this guy.
Yeah.
Well, what way is it? Because if he's so great, he should be slobbing on him. What are you mad about? You're just mad to be mad. You want to do this
fans.
Detroit versus everything thing. Like, what are you doing? What are you mad about?
I think that's fans of really any city. When
when
a commentator is on TV, like, you could watch Sunday Night Football right now. If they're out there probably talking about, Carson Wentz, all of a sudden the 49ers are going to be like, why are they talking about Wentz so much? That's just the fan mentality. Like, everybody wants to get triggered over the dumbest little things. These commentators have to fill dead air time. Otherwise, you're just watching silence.
Believe me, it's not easy.
No, it's not. So I'm sure they have some talking points. They have people in their ears giving them little tidbits here and there to spout out stuff about that they have to touch on. Kelly Stafford, obviously every game that they show with him, they're going to bring her up. And that's filling the space. They need to do that. And really, what are you going to talk about when Stafford's out there on the field? You're going to talk about how great the Detroit Lions defense is? There's not a body over there to praise right now. Like, you're obviously going to be talking about Kupp, Woods, Henderson, Higbee, all these guys on the Rams that are helping Stafford move along, and how Stafford has looked so good over there. Like, it's easy. That's easy to talk about, and it fills.
Well, and how do you not? He's dropping balls in a bucket to Cooper Kupp 57 yards down the field. What's he supposed to say? Oh, I mean, he could have hit him a little better.
Right.
What?
Probably should have checked that one down. That was a very dangerous throw.
Yeah. What do you want this guy to say?
Yeah.
I
think that hate is just fans being kind of jealous and upset.
And people like you are the ones he was talking about when he said he finally found where he's appreciated. You still, after 7 games, have no change of opinion on this guy.
No.
Tell us what your opinion originally was, and how are you still saying, because this is what you used to say to me, there's one constant in the organization, and it's him, as if the Lions were great before 2009.
Right.
Which they were the laughing stock of the league before that. So anyway.
True. Yeah.
Go ahead, big fella.
Stafford, since college, never been a big game winner.
True.
Loses to Michigan State in the bowl game. Not even a great Michigan State team.
No.
Captain
Kirk isn't great.
That was Kirk Cousins? Yeah.
That he beat him in he's carrying around like he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, Kirk, maybe you take Cousins over Stafford. I don't know. That's another debate. That's another debate another time.
Dude, if you're still making that argument after 7 games,
I'm just saying
we might have to check the BPA over there.
One guy has hustled the NFL more than anybody else, and it's Kirk Cousins. I mean,
and
the guy
God bless him for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, anyways, back to Stafford. For me, a quarterback here in Detroit, the same way that I think I said this earlier, I've always felt like you have San Francisco, who I think did it right. Chicago, I don't think, Jacksonville with all them drafting quarterbacks. I feel with most quarterbacks, you need to have positions in place already, a solid offensive line, some skill positions around them first, and then bring in the quarterback. So it was never really like, I never hated Stafford. I hated that he was here in Detroit, because I always felt they were just going to keep throwing money at him, and they didn't build it right, and it was never going to be fixed until they tore it down. And that's why I wanted him gone, is because I thought that they needed him gone, and then they needed to get the offensive line, get the defense rolling, get some skill position players in there, and then bring in the quarterback. And
Yeah.
that's why I don't want him to reach. If there's not a quarterback this year in the draft, don't reach. Solidify more of this rebuild. You still have another year to go after somebody, and maybe, who knows, maybe somebody's available to in free agency that you don't know about. Maybe
Yeah.
they can, I don't know if he'd fit here, but maybe they could do a 4th rounder for Garoppolo once the 49ers are going to be obviously looking to move him.
You're right.
Different players like that you could bring in to even stopgap as you're building, to then bring in a player. Stafford, for me, was never the guy that was going to take Detroit to the promised land. I always hated how much he commanded of the salary cap, and a lot of it had to do because he got drafted. What was he, the last year
He
when
was
they had
the second to
big
last.
deals?
Sam Bradford
Yeah,
was the last, the very
that's right.
next year. But
The
yeah,
huge rookie deals that
right.
just killed your cap.
But that's not his fault either.
No, I'm not mad at him. That's me being mad at the Detroit organization and just wanting. He needed to be removed in order to really have a rebuild.
But did he? But did he, though? Because you're seeing it now. Now,
he went to a team that has all the positions in place. So, yeah, he's looking great over there now.
Okay,
right?
but the positions, to me, Cooper Kupp is obviously, they kept saying it throughout the night. He's breaking this record. It's him and Randy Moss. Oh, he's even better than that now. He's putting up numbers that are different than anybody who's ever done. Robert Woods, man, is he really that good? Is he really that good?
Robert Woods is I would say kind of like that wide receiver 2 range. I wouldn't
He's a 2 for sure.
1.
But is he that good? Is Van Jefferson that good? So is he really that much better than Kelvin and Nate? And then throw in
Golden Tate,
throw in our other guys. So you got all this. Okay, so you're like, oh, you're ripping on Stafford. No. Now I'm looking at scheme. Now I'm looking at offensive line. Remember, again, Rams had no running game today, and they lost their number 1 guy before the season even started. So I don't know if they're going to have a running game all year. Well, they have people who are smarter than the Lions people were, who scheme better. Who are making things better. We never had that. And again, the guy's changing systems every couple of years. And who's making these decisions to bring in the people to do these things? Again, I go back to, I've never been a get rid of the Forge person, but I look at the scheme and then I listen to scouts and I listen to everybody who keeps saying for 12 years, this guy's got it. This guy's got it. Now, we have not seen him in a major game yet, and they very well could lose.
Well, we did against the Cardinals, and
they lost.
He was kind of the Detroit Stafford that a lot of us remember.
Yeah, he did not play great. Now you're also against an amazing defense and whatever. Yeah. But again, he never had a running game. They were 30 and under every single year. He was in the top 5, if not number 1, every single year getting hit. Yep. And he was playing injured all the time. So I don't know, man. Is he Brady? No, he's not Brady. But you guys wanted to make him name the guy. I don't name a bad guy. Kirk Cousins. He's not Kirk Cousins. He's a million times better than Kirk Cousins.
He's always been good. He's not that elite quarterback. Like, there's always been, I would say, on a given year, at least 6 to 8 quarterbacks that I would take in a heartbeat over him.
Maybe.
I mean,
his arm is elite. His arm is literally 100 yards of the NFL elite.
He reminds me a lot of like the Brett Favre arm.
Oh, he is.
But that's the thing, is like Brett Favre, for all intents and purposes, should have had way more rings in Green Bay than just one. A lot of times the mentality of, I'm just going to force this in there.
Yes.
You throw a pick, now your team's scrambling.
I'm going to say it again because I've told this story numerous times, but Dan Orlovsky said it again this week because of this game. He is John Elway's arm with Brett Favre's brain. Dan Orlovsky said this story again on NFL Live this week. They were in film session, and I don't know what the play was, whatever, and he made some ridiculous throw in traffic, threaded the needle, made the throw. And Orlovsky was like, and I don't know, whatever, it gained 30 yards. I don't remember the story exactly. Some big gain. He had a dude wide open, could have moved the chains. And he goes, what were you doing? Why did you throw that? What were you thinking? And he goes, because people like you can't. That's what he told him. And he may have just been joking with his guy.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
he keeps saying it
Mm-hmm.
because he knows it's true, because he can. He literally has one of the greatest arms in the history of the NFL, period. He does. His arm is John Elway, but sometimes that brain gets in the way. Now, it also sometimes had to, because he played for the freaking Detroit Lions, and he thought he could score 14 points in one throw.
Mm-hmm. So, like, a lot.
He doesn't have to do that here.
No, but also, like, when you go back to, like, the play calling, like you said, Detroit has consistently been one of the only teams that I watch that almost every first down that they're third and 6, 3rd and 8, they're throwing it like 3 yards before that, hoping that their receiver runs past it.
We saw it today.
The smartest thing I ever heard, like, a quarterback say, like, I was watching one of those Manning casts on Monday Night Football the other week, and he's like, you give me that 3rd and 8. He's like, I was never throwing it 8 yards. I was going 15 or 20 yards down the field, because the defense is sitting at the sticks.
Yes.
And they're knowing you're trying to get that first down. Where the opening is 5 yards, 10 yards beyond that, to where you can find a hole to be able to fit something in and actually get a first down and not have to go against the teeth of the defense that are all sitting there waiting for that 3-yard dump off, and then, hey, now that you have it, run 5 more yards and try to get that first down.
Well, we saw it, and I can't remember now who did it, but it was the same thing. We've seen it all year. They 3rd and 8, they throw it to 7, and the guy gets hit immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's rough, because like the Rams play calls, like, you see even on their 3rd and shorts, they're stretching the field. They're going, 15, 20 yards down the field with a pass. Even if it's incomplete, you're punting. Oh, well, okay, we'll punt. We'll get the ball back, and we'll try to do it again. But you're at least trying to take that shot if it's available. Are you sure you have some shorter routes for a check down if you need it?
Yeah.
But at least run a couple to stretch that defense.
Yeah. Well, and Stafford's leading the league in yards per game, which they said during the telecast. But I just noticed it just watching the entire game. How many times did he throw the ball 25 yards and further?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we haven't seen that. Even when they had Kelvin, who's 6'5" and runs a 4.3, they were not
running.
Jump
ball with him 10 times a game. He's going to come down.
And they did that when they needed it. They didn't do it
always at the end of the game when they're down 20 points.
How many times did he throw the ball 25 yards? The guy is not only 6'5", he runs a 4.3.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
On some of those plays where Stafford, even today, when he throws it deep down the field, if your receiver isn't catching it, a lot of times they're getting that pass interference call, and that's just as good as a deep completion.
Absolutely.
Because unlike college, where it's just the 15 yards, you're getting a 40-yard penalty on Detroit, and now you're moving all the way down the field with just one penalty call.
Yeah, so many times that they would not throw the ball down the field, and you're seeing it now. I mean, he was taking shots all day, man. He was taking shots all day. So, again, I look at scheme and I look at coaching, and I'm like, we have just had a bunch of freaking bums in here. And tell me I'm wrong. Look at the only one you can make a case for is Jim Caldwell.
I love Jim Caldwell.
And everybody loved him too, but he couldn't manage a game.
He would have been great if he would have did the stuff like Campbell's trying to do now. Hire an analytics guy, hire a clock management guy. Take away some of that pride to where you need to control everything and delegate it out to perhaps smarter people in those decisions. Because Caldwell, he's a great offensive mind too. I mean, he worked with Peyton Manning for years.
Absolutely.
He's a really solid mental offensive mind coach. Just the whole clock management, timeout management, end of game management just waved him bye-bye. He needed something else
to
help him out there.
There's no way that you can make the point that you've been making for 5 years that he's the problem. You can't keep making that point.
No, he
obviously was not amazing. But you can't say.
He's still the problem for the fact that they could not rebuild around him. That's where I'm going with it. I needed him gone.
Yeah, because
they
hired
down to the rebuild.
They hired IQ 12s to run the
100%. Oh gosh, yeah. Like the regimes are horrible that he had to work with. That's fine, but they can both be wrong at the same point.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's where I'm at. Like, yeah, they haven't had the good hires. I don't even think Dan Campbell's a good hire. We'll
I don't
see.
either.
Jury's
I don't
still
either.
out, but we'll see. But for that, like I still think Stafford, it was time for him to go. I was glad to see him go. I was glad to see the haul that we got. I'll take Goff for if you throw in an extra first round pick every time.
I agree.
Because from what I read is the reason why they got that third first round pick was because we ate Goff's contract coming back and kept him on board.
Yeah.
So I'll take that every day because who we have, David Blau. Was that
once again, what I've been telling you guys for years and years and years, what the league thinks of this guy. He runs into Matt Stafford at the pool in Cabo. They just run into each other.
That
hey,
still
buddy.
needs to be investigated, by the way. That's some shady stuff.
I don't know what it is, but
tampering.
But whatever, even if we got 2 first-round picks out of it, I wouldn't be worried about it.
That's true.
But the fact that this happened, he was about to be traded. He was gone. To Carolina for like a first and a fourth or a second and a fourth.
Some horrible
and
deal.
Sean McVay was so like, no.
You're my boy.
That
You're
tells
my boy,
you that
Blue.
Blue 32 becomes his freaking boy in 10 seconds. That tells you what the league thinks of this guy. And it tells you what the league thinks of the Lions.
That tells you what the league thinks of having a good, not elite quarterback that is available. I mean,
but they don't think he's good. They think he's elite.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. The league
we'll
thinks
find out
he's
when
elite.
he goes. We'll find out when he goes to play an elite quarterback and other elite teams in the playoffs how really good he is. Because again,
I agree with
NFC is tough.
Dude, he's got to go through Brady. He's got to go through now
Kyler, Brady, Rodgers. You even got Dak. Dallas is playing well.
They're playing very well, and that defense is playing way better.
Yeah. I would put the Rams like those 4 teams all right now
above any team in the AFC. I'd put them above any team in the AFC.
Those 4?
Yeah.
I'm a Bills guy too, so I love the Bills.
And they're playing well. They're playing very well.
Bills are a tough team.
I'd be shaky on Dallas, but the other ones I'd take over the Bills.
Because Chargers are up and down. Kansas City's a flop house right now.
Oh gosh,
they can't get out of their own way. But yeah, I could. I mean, they're all. It's tough because I'm still not sold 100% in Arizona yet because it's Arizona.
Because they haven't done it.
Yeah,
they haven't done it. But that defense.
It is, and that's
as long as Watt's arms don't fall off like they normally do.
To go back with what you said about the Fords, that's been the hardest thing to watch. Is you have teams like Arizona, like Cincinnati, like Cleveland, like Buffalo,
that have come up,
all been to the bottom for years and rebuilt and skyrocketed up. And
here's
Detroit
the other
still
thing, though. I'll say this. Let me tell you. Here's the other thing about all those teams, though. This is what people. We're so. Oh, Cincinnati, we have it so bad. Cleveland, we have it so bad. The Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls, okay? Cincinnati went to 2 Super Bowls in the 80s.
Yep.
Cleveland went to 3 or 4 AFC championships, and they had the drive and the fumble and all this stuff. They were good. The Lions have not even sniffed good.
No.
We had one good year, and we knew that was Washington's year from week 1 when they spanked the crap out of the Lions in week 1 and then beat them again in the NFC Championship.
They're the oldest expansion team in the NFL because they're in a rebuild like every year. You might as well just
rebuilding since 1957.
Like Jacksonville has a better playoff history than Detroit does. Carolina does.
They've been to 2 Super Bowls.
In Houston, like even if you just took the Houston Texans timeline, not the other, not the Oilers or any of the other teams.
Cleveland, the new Browns won a playoff game.
Yes, the new Browns, and they look better now. Like that's where it's so frustrating I don't want to hear any other fan base say that they have it bad. Like Jets fans are all like, "Ooh, we can't get out of our own way." You guys went to the playoffs with Mark Sanchez. Like, relax.
And here's the other thing. Everybody was ripping on Mark Sanchez today. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Mark Sanchez has won 2 playoff games.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
I'm not gonna lie.
has.
I did get mad at him one time when he was talking about how magical Stafford was, and so I had to show my wife the butt fumble because she didn't know what I was talking about. So
as long as you can hold on to that, because he's over here dropping everything in a bucket. He's dropping dimes left and right. I mean, he was, dude. What do you want him to say?
Okay, but
he was slobbing him a little bit. But again, what's
and
he
I'm not mad
supposed
at
to
it.
say?
Like, that's absolutely that's like I said. I got mad at him for just 2 seconds because I was like, I saw him do that in Detroit. Like this angle, nobody can do that.
Right.
It was that moment
Right.
when he said
Right.
nobody can do that angle. I'm like, I hear people say that about Mahomes every week when he throws those sidearm balls. Like other people are throwing those passes.
Well, and he was the
that
first.
was straight out of Rich Gannon's playbook. Oh, okay.
Well, that's because Rich Gannon literally threw sidearm.
Threw a sidearm. He was Nolan Ryan out there. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Dan Quisenberry is throwing under him. Whatever, man. This will be the never-ending debate, but
it sucks because I want him to do good now that he's gone, but I don't
because of the pick.
Because it's the picks. Like if you can give me two more years of crap Stafford and Rams, he can go on and win a Super Bowl after that. That's fine. I just want these picks to be good.
Get these picks first.
I'm greedy with it.
No, and I agree, and I'm torn on that too because I want to shut people like you up. I want this guy to win because I want to shut the people I've been telling for 10 years, no, you're wrong, you're wrong. At the same time, I want my team to get the 22nd pick or whatever instead of the 32nd.
30th, yeah.
You know,
for sure.
I totally agree. It's hard, man. But again, you can't tell me this guy, they sucked because of him.
So where do you rank
saying.
him right now?
Oh, gosh, dude.
I still would probably have him outside the top 10.
You're out of your dang mind.
10.
What?
If you're starting a team, you're going to tell
you
me.
Also told me Jimmy Garoppolo was top 5 after 5 games.
No,
so
I did not say top 5.
You guys were all over that.
I said he wins more than Stafford.
Well, he won 5 in a row, and then he died.
And then he won more games than Stafford. I'm just saying.
He went 5-0, and he hasn't gotten up since.
I'm just saying he's playing right now. I don't know how they're doing, but I mean, you look at Mahomes, Rodgers, Allen, Dak. I'm taking even Brady. I'm still rating all these guys ahead of him. He would probably get down into like around 10. Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson.
Well, Kyler Murray's the MVP of the league right now.
Him and Lamar. I think it's a close race.
Lamar.
I know Baltimore got blown out today, but Lamar is doing so much with so little. Like his offensive line, and he's doing. If he was on Detroit, he's the only way I think Detroit could be a good team right now is if they add Lamar Jackson, because he could be back there scrambling around and basically having the same offensive weapons that he has in Baltimore.
I'll tell you this, and this may be a different argument, but if they were to vote today, Kyler Murray's the MVP of the league.
Yeah, I would agree.
Matt Stafford's second. That is exactly what Matt Stafford would be number 2 for MVP today. You can't. He would be. You cannot tell me.
I don't think so. I know.
He would be. No. I'm telling you.
I would put Lamar over. Lamar has more yards than like 3 or 4 NFL teams himself.
Yeah, the Lions, because they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, Lions, Jets, or
anybody else.
Yeah, no, but I don't know. Like Dak,
he'd be number 2. Dak. I think you're naming the dudes that would be on the top 5.
Yeah, but
Stafford would be number 2. Because and also and I give everybody this. There are narratives out there, and the media jumps on narratives, and here's this narrative with Stafford. Oh, he was held down all these years, and the Rams were held down too, even though Goff made 2 Pro Bowls and the Super Bowl and whatever. And here comes the savior, and look what he's doing. So that becomes the narrative. But he lost to Kyler. Kyler's undefeated. Kyler's the MVP of the league right now.
Yeah.
And Stafford would come in second. I'm telling you he would.
That part.
And I don't know. I'm not saying I agree with it, which I do, but he would be second.
I don't think he would. But we could have that debate another time when we want to roll out some stats after everybody gets done with their bye weeks and take a look once everybody's even.
Well, he's number 1 in every passing stat right now. I mean,
Okay, but it's the same. It's the same thing as if you're okay. Derrick Henry, he's gonna break the record for most carries in a season. Like
He
most
should have
most
gotten
running.
last year. He ran for 2,000 yards. Nobody cared.
No, and it's so weird because it's like
In
I
a
want
day and
like
age, no one runs for
no one
1,200.
runs, but he's gonna get over 2,000 again this year. Most running backs get like 300 to 350 if they're like the bell cow.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna
Mm-hmm.
break over 400
Yeah.
carries this
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
You would expect, though, if somebody's doing that, that they're going to put up those yards. This is what Stafford does a lot, and not so much on the Rams now, but what he did in Detroit. That's why they call
But
him
his
Pat
numbers are better
Stafford,
than Detroit.
Tad Stafford, because he would always blow up in the second half when the defense is playing prevent. And
Okay,
he
well,
could
that's
just
not happening now.
no. I'm saying, but
and his
they're
numbers are
also
better.
but he's on a team that doesn't run the ball, so they're throwing all the
But his
time.
team never ran the ball. They were 30th to 32nd
Yes,
every
and he
year.
he always put up big numbers in Detroit, right?
Well, and these numbers are better than that.
They
and
are
they're
now.
6-1.
I get it, but yes, well, we'll see at the end. It will not be there. He will not. It won't happen. I'm telling you, Josh Allen will finish ahead of him. I'm telling you, Lamar Jackson in the MVP voting, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson.
Derek won't, because
Aaron
Derek
Rodgers
finished like 4th last year and he ran for 2,000. And that goes back to the narrative thing.
I think when he breaks the records though this year, because I think he might break like the single season rushing record this year. That's going to be the caveat that actually gets him into the conversation.
Could be, but remember this. Now you're looking at some Roger Maris, Babe Ruth stuff here.
Yep.
Because
17 games.
That's going to change some things.
Yeah. Yes, it will for sure. And I we'll see how it all unravels. But I still think there's going to be a lot of things that shake up here, because he's also playing in a tough division. That the NFC West isn't as tough as I thought it was gonna be. When the season started, I thought they were getting 3 teams in the playoffs for sure. So I thought Seattle actually had a roster, and I thought San Francisco was still going to push people and be healthier this year, but they still shown they can't get away from the injury bug. And Seattle's rough without Wilson, so they're going to fall apart here in the next handful of weeks.
They got to play the Cards again. And in Arizona, they got to play Seattle with, dude will be back. The Titans, they got to play.
That'll be a tough.
They got some teams, man. The Ravens, they got to play. So, no, they got a brutal schedule, man.
And theirs is going to be, when they get to that playoffs, just remember, if they don't finish first in that division, they're traveling, and they're going to be, and granted, like Stafford's used to cold weather because he's played in Green Bay. Even though Detroit's a dome, he's played outdoors. That's not going to affect him. But he's going to be playing at Tampa, at Green Bay, at Dallas, at Arizona. One of those places, they're going to be on the road for most likely that entire playoff run, however deep they go.
Dude, so think about this.
Do it away from SoFi.
I haven't thought about it till you mentioned it a few minutes ago. What you just said. Has the NFC ever been this tough? When you look at the Rams, the Cardinals, and they've done nothing yet, but where they're at right now, they've done something. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, even though he's 43, he won a freaking Super Bowl. He's still Tom Brady. My gosh. And then Dallas has a defense now a little bit here.
Woo. It's been a handful of years because for so long, it was almost like the AFC Championship game was always a better game than the Super Bowl. Because it was the AFC was always that better conference, better division, better conference.
Ben against Peyton or Tom.
And then it goes right into Kansas City like after that, and they were the cream of the crop for like the last 3 years. Baltimore was a tough team to always get through. It was always who's coming out of the AFC, they're most likely going to win. The NFC is always going to be the underdog in the Super Bowl. It's different now.
Well, dude, and when we were kids, it was Dallas and San Fran were there for a while. But 5 deep. I just named 5 teams. And would you be surprised by any of those 5 teams going to the Super Bowl? I wouldn't. Any of those 5. And that's no Stafford thing. That's no Dak thing, Tom thing.
No.
If any one of them made it, I'd be like, yeah, all right.
AFC is weird because I think the AFC is – I still think it's for me – personally, I think it's a 2-team race over there. I think it's going to come down to Buffalo and the Chargers. I think those are the two, because now that Kansas City's slipping,
Right.
I'm not sold on Tennessee. I don't think they can throw as much if you need to.
Yeah.
Baltimore is too up and down, and Cincinnati I think is a very fake 5-2. I think they're good.
They're
but
young.
I don't think they're young, and I don't think their defense is there, and I don't think the offensive line, their skill position players, amazing. Jamar
They
Chase
don't run
is
for a
doing
lot of
things
yards.
that are is crazy, but I think they're kind of a fake. They're almost like the Broncos and the Carolina Panthers when they both started 3-0 and then they've lost 4 games straight. Like the cream's going to rise to the crop on the AFC, and I think
I would never count out the Ravens either. I would never count them out.
They can't seem to get healthy. I mean, she just started the start of the season before their 4 running backs like all tore ACLs.
Well, and who are the? Yeah, I was going to say, who are their running backs? You know,
Le'Veon,
Lamar,
the carcass of Le'Veon Bell, the carcass of Devontae Freeman.
Yes, Murray. Yeah. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, this was fun, man.
Looking forward to this.
But hey, man, no, I appreciate it, dude. I knew you'd be good and have a good time with this. You know, hopefully you're right and we do get a win in there. But again, maybe hopefully not, because I want that number 1 pick. I don't want to make more history, though, and be the first 0-16 and now the first 0-17.
Pleasure's all yours, Bucky boys.
Out the field and gain, Alliance victorious.